I'm going to read as much as I can, probably one scene into a second one from The Smile of the Reformation. It is about a historical figure named Pierre Viret. Here we go. Pierre was short, his skin pale, with a thin and lengthy face, but he had such eyes, eyes that were alive with peace. To come into the sight of this man's eyes was at least unforgettably pleasant. Oh, and his smile. There was a certain benevolence in his smile foretelling that 16th century Orb Switzerland was about to change. Outside the church, a moment prior, William said, "Go, you're the one they need." "But William," said Pierre, "I told you that I'm too young." William replied, "Did not the apostle say for Timothy to let none despise his youth?" "Yes, but," said Pierre, "and don't throw the being too short excuse at me either. You know full well the apostle was known to be a short man himself," said William. "And besides, once you begin to speak, they will lose sight of everything about you, and they will hear your Savior and Shepherd himself. You know well how this goes, William. A prophet is not accepted in his own land. And I, William, am from Orb. Pierre, get in that church and get in that pulpit before I pray a curse on your soul. You know full well not to obey the Lord is sin, and you're disobeying him by not acting at this very moment. Go, go." Pierre went, and the idea of a prophet not being accepted in his own land did not apply here. Many of the young people in Orb who sported with him on the banks of the river wished to hear their old playfellow preach. His reputation as a peacemaker in those almost ancient days continued to grow and was confirmed by his uniquely inoffensive presence. If he wasn't smiling, he at least wasn't frowning, like most reformers who bore more likeness to the medieval period than that of the Maker's face. His eyes always had a sparkle of boyhood discovery in them. He mounted that pulpit and cast those eyes upon the diverse crowd made up of both townspeople and those from the nearby neighborhood, young and old, all eager to hear him. "Dear people," Pierre began, "I'm here today not because I'm greater or wiser or better than any of you. I love you and I know you love me. And I'm here to tell you what God did in my life because I hope he'll do the same for each of you." The crowd continued to listen. Rome asserts that antiquity is truth. But what is there older in the world than lies, rebellion, murder, extortion, impurity, idolatry, and all kinds of wickedness and abomination? To follow the doctrine of Cain and of Sodom is verily to follow an old doctrine. Though the crowd was Roman Catholic and large, it was as if they hung upon his lips. Some of their faces seemed to borrow the light from Pierre's own eyes, communicating gladness at what he was saying, and others communicated skepticism. The skeptical ones appeared as if their eyes were squinting to keep light from entering. Nevertheless, he continued with his own eyes fixed on them all. "But virtue, truth, holiness, innocence, and God the Father is of all is older still. So, dear people, would you believe something simply because it is old, when there is one called the Ancient of Days who is true? Would you make antiquity a God over truth?" He had the whole people pressing toward his every word. "No, antiquity proves nothing, and Rome bases its religion on antiquity, but it is truth. Truth you need." William and Pierre expected no immediate conversion or persecution. There was a temporary stillness. They walked down a little traveled dirt road together after the service. They saw a farmer slowly plowing a small field with two oxen quietly moving forward. They smelled a fire burning and peered over to see the farmer's wife placing a pie upon the sill of the house. They heard their own footsteps marching forward As they somberly contemplated what just happened and what might happen, a noble woman passed by them quickly, stirring their curiosity. It looked to them like Madame Elizabeth, a woman responsible not too long ago for arranging a beating for William. William's countenance was only calmed by the peaceful gaze of his companion, helping him to focus back on the serene surroundings rather than his fears. Though internally, Pierre also had his own reservations about the future. It was certainly not William's way of doing things to send another into battle before himself had gone. Earlier that year, on April 2nd, 1531, William had preached in Orbe, neither with Pierre nor the uncertain response that had just occurred. It was Palm Sunday. Mass had just been celebrated, including Vespers. William heard the chanting of Psalm 140. Deliver me, O Lord, from evil men. Preserve me from violent men who plan evil things in their heart and stir up wars continually. They make their tongue sharp as a serpent's, and under their lips is the venom of asps, Selah. Guard me, O Lord, from the hands of the wicked. Preserve me from violent men who have planned to trip up my feet. The arrogant have hidden a trap for me, and with cords they have spread a net. Beside the way they have set snares for me, Selah. And that is all it took to muster the courage to stand. As soon as the service was over, he made his way with presumptuous boldness to the pulpit, asking no permission. Friends followed him, and idlers flocked around him, and devout Roman Catholics ran after him. Men, women, and children all filled the church building with a weighty noise, to which William was no stranger. Some cried out, "Dog!" Others, "Landlubber, heretic, devil," and every insult imaginable for that time. It was so loud that one commented, "You couldn't have scarcely heard God's thunder in the circumstance." The thing was that William was used to it. To William, these insults were as expected of him as a preacher, just as bullets were to a soldier on the battlefield. William felt more than word bullets, though. Seeing that William was not giving up, the crowd surrounded the pulpit and ripped him down from it. If a bailiff had not interceded and rescued him to his lodging, he would have received blows. The bailiff asked him there, "Why do you carry on so?" He responded, "Woe to me if I do not preach the gospel." And that's just what he did the next morning. No sooner than 6 in the morning, he went to the town square and he began preaching again. No one was there, and he didn't care because God was. But little did he know that the reason no one cared to assault him there that morning was because the noble Madame Elizabeth had a group of women occupied in a fanatical plot to kill the reformer. "But Elizabeth, why not let the courts handle this?" asked some. "You know full well," said Elizabeth, "how the worthless bailiff rescued the heretic just last night," she continued. "We must act and act quickly. But you're right. We'll use the courts. We'll use them." Madame Elizabeth was married to Huguenon, Lord of Arnex. She persuaded the man to orchestrate the matter, though he protested. At this time, men were quite weak against the emotionally charged belief that such deeds might be meritorious before God in the form of Roman Catholic indulgences. An indulgence for a mother and father was worth the risk for any devout son or daughter at the time. This did not exclude the nobility, who were most apt to attain or purchase one. A council was formed to figure out what to do with the anti-traditional teaching invading their town by those like William. Deputies from Bern and Freiburg were present, as anticipated by Madame Elizabeth. No action was to be taken immediately. At the conclusion of the council, William exited the building and was stopped by Monsieur Glaris, who grasped the danger William faced. William balked. "I'm willing to die for the faith. I need no accompaniment, and I need no greater glory." But after continued insistence, William conceded to the kindness of Glaris to protect him, but only if he followed at a distance. Elizabeth's crowd was waiting. We'll leave it there.